Hello there. Welcome back. This is a King KW65 combination waterstone. Has a 1K on one side and 6K on the other. I've had it soaking for 20 minutes or so. This side requires that in order to work properly. The other side does not. A lot of people mistake that and think that this stone, both sides of the stone require soaking. They do not. The 6K side is a splash and go stone, and I use it for finishing plain blades after I have sharpened them on a diamond plate or something like that. I rarely use this side of this stone anymore, but this is a good beginner stone when you're talking about water stones for to begin knife sharpening with, because it's economical and it's got a good combination of cutting versatility. This is an Atoma diamond plate. It's a 140 grit. And what I'm going to do with a water stone, smooth the corners out, or the sides out rather. With a water stone, they dish a lot quicker than what an oil stone or something like that would dish. And so if you do 5 or 6 passes on the top of one every time before you're home, it does two things. It refreshes the surface, and also it helps to keep the plate flat. And this is a Victorinox knife that I have purchased from a local flea market. We're going to just sharpen this blade on this stone. And I know you see me use, and I left the slurry on there, it doesn't matter. I know you see me use that 400 grit India stone quite a bit as a starting point for sharpening. And it's a good starting point. But with this water stone, especially on a knife with a blade this thin, but even with a good stiff blade, you want to keep plenty of water on this stone. You don't really need it. You can go to like a to like a 600 or an 800 or even 1,000 grit. Excuse me. Stone. And raise a burr. Water stones don't require a ton of pressure either, and pressure can actually be detrimental to the stone because the stone will come out of true very easily. Water stones are soft. It's the reason they cut the way that they do, because the stone is constantly releasing fresh abrasives that cut. And so that is the secret to water stones. And I'm already developing a burr. By the way, to check for a burr, you can, I'm going to use this side because you can take your thumb, and you're not really, I know it looks like you're testing the very edge of what you're actually doing. Now, that's different. I mean, if you're testing for sharpness, but if you're looking for a burr, and I don't know if you can see it, there's a piece of that burr. Anyway, here, maybe you can see it that way. Right here on the edge. I don't know if you'll be able to see that or not. But anyway, you're actually kind of hitting the side of it with the side of your thumb so that you can feel that burr. These knives are relatively easy to sharpen. I would suggest and recommend that you roam around your flea market and see if you can find some of these cheap. This knife, I bought 5 knives last weekend at the flea market and I paid $8. They're all different types of Victorinox knives. I bought 3 in this combination because I like it. It has the little can opener, or I'm sorry, bottle opener kind of thing, and a corkscrew, and I'll never use either one of those. But it just has a single blade, and it's simple, it's thin and light, and that's my favorite kind of the Victorinox. The ones that are like this flipping thick and got 15 million tools, I don't want none of them. If I want a screwdriver, my car's wherever I am, and I got a toolbox in there with a good screwdriver, a real screwdriver, okay? Ditto a pair of pliers, and if I need a pair of scissors, I know where I can get one of them too, okay? So, and I'm not slamming the knives, but I'm just not into multi-tools and multi-tooled knives and all of that. If this had a secondary pin blade and that was it, that would be absolutely perfect. But anyway, I paid, and that's lovely. I've got a burr over the whole of it. For 3 of these knives, I paid 3 for $5. And then I got another 2 from another guy that was $2 or 2 for $3. So you can guess I bought 2 of them for $3. And, you know, that's a good learning knife. If I wanted to learn, and now I turn the stone around because these stones wear faster, and I've worn, you can see where the swarf is, right? Well, I want to change. You can find these knives cheap, and now I would even tell you if you're learning, these knives, the cheap copies of these knives for like the Chinese versions, don't buy anything, and I mean anything, that's supposed to have an edge on it that says Pakistan. Do not do it. It's pieces of junk. They're pieces of junk, and I've yet to find a Pakistani steel of any shape or size or type that would hold an edge for 5 minutes. I could get a burr, but once I pulled that burr off of the edge would crumble. And trust me, I know from whence I speak, so stay away from Pakistani crap. Alright? But even the cheap Chinese steel that's in the cheap Chinese copies of these, you can put an edge on that. It's junk, but when you're first starting to sharpen, those are the kind of knives you want to tear up. They ain't worth anything anyway. If they get tore up, you can do the right thing and throw them in the trash. Or the recycle bin, or whatever it is your bin is, if you can find a place for them to be recycled. But you can learn a skill set and not worry about damaging anything that way. So I highly recommend. Now, it's always better if you have a bit better knife and a bit better steel, but you don't want to destroy a good knife. Learning. So that's my take on it. Just don't pay very much at all for the knives that you're learning to sharpen with, and don't have a complex that says I must have this particular quality of knife, and all of that will come. Learn the basic techniques of knife sharpening on crap, so when you jack it up, because you will, it won't be anything that's really worth anything. And I can look at this blade as I can look at the very edge of this blade and see parts of that burr trying to roll up. And I could, if I wanted to, probably push it over to the side I wanted it on. With my thumb. That's how fine the burr is. And this is soft steel. The Victorinox, one of their largest appeals is that the steel is thin enough and soft enough to put an edge on really fast. And for little fine tasks that you would use a little knife like this for, it's all you need. I don't need the latest and greatest super steel to peel an orange or an apple with, okay? I mean, or open up a package from Amazon, which is pretty much what these are suited to. Look at this knife, okay? You tell me how much hard work you're going to do with that. You're not, sorry. So there comes a point where you learn to choose the right tool for the task at hand. And when you're looking for a scalpel, you don't need a big, huge Bowie knife. Now I pronounce that buoy because I know that's kind of what people, kind of the way people pronounce it, but when I was growing up, it was pronounced Bowie because I'm a hillbilly from Lookout Mountain in Alabama. And that's how we pronounced it. Talking to a subscriber of mine recently. Beautiful. Let me get just a little bit more there. And he talked about he was a logger. That's some hard work. And understand, I've done work involved in that, but I've never really been a logger. I wasn't the guy that felled the trees, and okay, I was the guy that they hired in to come in with a chainsaw and limb all the trees they felled and cut them to the proper length so they could come in and drag them out and load them up onto a truck and take them wherever it was they're going to take them to sell. And that's some humping work right there. You got to move because they're wanting quantity, and but you also have to be careful because they're all laying on top of each other. I got a burr all along that side, so now we're going to go to removing it. And you'll fall and cut yourself open with the saw if you're not careful. Of course, that's why the chain brake on a steel is such a wonderful thing, and why I'd love to have a steel if I needed a chainsaw. Not knocking any of the others. But our conversation lovely kind of took me back to, I mean, that was when I'm 57 in December. That was when I was 21, something like that. Back then I had all kind of energy. And I could do a day's work and go out and run around all night. Get back up in the morning after 3 or 4 hours of sleep and do it all again. Lovely. Beautiful. Lovely edge. Alright, so now what I'm going to do, this is a habit I've made, is I'm going to just kind of straighten that out and rinse that off. Flip this over. I'm going to rinse the atoma plate off. Now if you're honing straight razors with high grit stones, 140 is not the grit you want to use to flatten something like a 6K, 8K, or higher, even a 4K stone, because that's going to affect the edge of that on that straight razor quite a bit. 6K side of the King KW65. Now, to be perfectly honest with you, that 1K is probably all of the edge that I really need on something like this. But if you want refinement, this stone delivers it. And that's one of the reasons that I recommend it, because it's got a good range from... Now, if you've got a knife that's chewed up, got gouges all in the edge and all of that, then you're going to need something more than that 1K. Although a knife like this that's very thin, I could repair this edge if it did have rolls and chips and stuff in it on that 1K with zero issues. But you know, if you've got a thicker blade and or a bigger knife or whatnot, then you're going to want like a lower grit to start off with. But that's always the thing, okay? I can recommend starter sets and stuff like that, but if you're going to do repairs, then you're going to need more stones. That's the way that works. But this is a good option, and I can look at that bevel in the light. That's lovely. But we're gonna hone a little bit more. I'm gonna now, my preference for knives is not a water stone. It's oil stones or diamonds and oil stones. But now for a plain blade or a chisel, or for a straight razor, Waterstones are wonderful. But even with a straight razor, I'm going to come off a fairly high grit Waterstone at least an 8,000. And I'm going to go to something like my Escher or a Codical or a JNat or my Black Arkansas, or I might come off of a JNat or a Codical and move to the Black Arc and use it kind of like a post finish for straight razors. But the point is most of the time with a knife or a razor, I'm going to move from some type of synthetic stone, even an India stone is a synthetic stone, but some type of man-made stone, I'm going to move up from that. Lovely. That's gorgeous. To a natural stone. That's just going to be my preference. But this stone, once again, and I can see, yeah, it's clean now. This stone is a killer combination for knives and tools. It's well worth picking up and using. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.